Welcome to the Property Podcast. Here we talk about property investment, property rights, and property news. Sometimes, just sometimes, we talk about the built environment as a whole to show you how everything comes together to give you the property that you love. I am your trusted property advisor, Urobus Ginya. If you do not yet trust me, it means you simply haven't spent enough time together. So stick around until you do trust me. Today, I'm tackling an issue that happened in eThekwini municipality. Imagine buying a property from the municipality and thinking that you are all safe because you bought the property from a trusted entity, only to find that that same entity has sold the property to someone else. What exactly happened? The municipality advertised back in the early 2000s that they wanted people to bid for a piece of land that was situated in Newlands West, and people did that. The municipality had specific requirements. They wanted the property to only be used as a place of worship since it was zoned as such, and so a church submitted its bid and they won the bid, and they paid 10,000 rands towards the municipality. They thought they were paying this money to buy the property. This is important because I always say simply paying an amount into someone's account does not constitute buying a property. In terms of property, it's not like Pick and Pay. You can't just go there, pay money, take an item and leave. You need to pay the money into a conveyancer's account for you to have brought the property, and the conveyancer needs to transfer the property to your name. Now, we were not there. Back to the story. So the church pays 10,000 rands towards the municipality. Fine. This happens in 2004. In 2006, the same municipality gives the same piece of land to a private developer. I think they called Woodglaze or something. Now, this developer stays with the property until 2012. In 2012, the developer takes ownership of the property, which means the property is registered in the name of the developer in the deeds office. Here's an issue. When the property was still under the church, or when the church thought they owned the property, there was also a condition that, or there was also an exemption that the church had because they are a place of worship. The property didn't have any rates attached to it. They were exempted from the rates. But as soon as the property was now transferred to this private developer, the property started accumulating rates. This would later be a problem for the church. Now, at this point, the church has no idea that the same property that they thought they were buying with their 10,000 rands back in 2004 is now being transferred to some developer in 2012. They don't know this. They are using the property as if it's theirs. They have made improvements into the property. In 2017, the church now tries to get the property to be transferred from the municipality to themselves as a church, only to find that the property is owned by Woodglaze developers. Now they are shocked. That's shock number one. Shock number two is that the property owes rates. I think it's around 300,000 rands or 400,000 rands that the church now owed the municipality in rates. Why? Because the private developer, when they purchased the property, they also rezoned it from whatever it was, which was place of worship, to a commercial property, and as soon as it was rezoned, it started attracting rates. They had to be paying rates, but that company, the developer, wasn't paying rates, and the church wasn't paying rates because the church had no idea that someone else had ownership of this property, and therefore that the property had even been rezoned. All of this was news to them when they first heard it in 2017. To top all this off, it turns out that Woodglaze had taken a bond against the same property from Engine. So Woodglaze has taken a bond against this property from Engine according to the records at the deeds office. Now, not only is it that the church doesn't own the property, it turns out that the property is also bonded. It is not just owned by the developer. The developer has taken a bond. It gets even worse. The church is already built now. They have a huge structure that is situated in that same piece of land. How are they supposed to now recover the costs of building that beautiful big structure that they have built as a church? The municipality has admitted that they made a mistake in transferring or giving the property to two different people. But you know me, I'm skeptical. I ask, Did they really make a mistake, or was someone behind all this? I'm asking all these questions because when I was reading the article, it also turns out that Wood Glaze, or whoever this developer is, I'll keep pronouncing their name wrong, but what they have been implicated in is other developments that have been illegal. They have before gone to properties and developed illegally. So they seem to have a way around properties within the municipality, and yet the municipality managed to give them a property that was given to a church. What was the point of saying the property can only be used as a place of worship and then only to turn around and allow a private developer to rezone it to a commercial property? Why didn't they guide the church to make sure that the property is transferred from them as the municipality? Because the church had already paid, and they're not denying this, the church had already paid the 10,000 rands. Why didn't the municipality just make sure that the church then receives ownership of that property? So many questions. And to top it all off, I will keep topping it all off. The church has split into two, and Amahem Ati, one of the reasons for the split of the church into two was because of this whole thing, the fight, because someone found out the property that was supposed to be owned by the church was not owned by the church. And then I'm making assumptions here, assuming that people started accusing whoever had paid the money to have eaten the money instead of paying it to the municipality. Or there was just, it created trust issues to a point where the church had to break into two. I do wish that I could have all the church members here and the municipality and actually find out what exactly happened, who was responsible. Well, we know it was the municipality that was responsible, but imagine getting into a deal with a trusted entity like the municipality, and then they mess it up this badly. And then let's get to the developer themselves. What kind of developers are these? What kind? Because they saw the church was always there. They saw the building go up. They said nothing. Instead, they took a bond against the same building. And I am sure that no financier would have given them money without that structure being there. So probably, I'm making assumptions. These guesses and assumptions that I'm making are very educated. They probably used the fact that there was a structure, a big, beautiful structure by the church. The developer used that fact to get the bond of 1.6 million rands from Engine. Interesting. If you find this video informative, please do subscribe down below, and bye.